Hey Nerdinas! Today I am back with another video. We are going to be learning how to use a soldering iron to build a simple circuit. Our circuit will have one LED that will glow. If you haven't already seen it, I would recommend watching the video with the basics of how to use a breadboard, because this will be showing you how to take the same simple circuit that we built with a breadboard and transfer it to an official board and solder on all of the components. I hope you like the video. So this right here is a soldering iron. And this right over here is soldering wire, and as you can see, it is lead-free. A soldering iron and the wire are used in order to place components on a board and make sure that they stay there. Essentially, we are melting this wire after we put a component on our board to make sure that the components stay on the board. So right here, I have heated up my soldering iron and just given it a few minutes. And this is just a short warning that it is very hot, so make sure to only hold this rubber part. You want to make sure that you have goggles when you're soldering, especially if you're a beginner. And to give you all an introduction to soldering and how it's done, we will be building a basic circuit today. So for this circuit, you will need a few things. The first thing you will need is an LED. Next, you will need this 330 ohm resistor. Two wires, such as the ones seen here. And lastly, a battery as a power source. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your soldering irons. You can see my tip right there, hopefully, above the board. And you're going to want to take some wire. So the wire's right there. And just melt a tiny bit of wire on the tip of the soldering iron. So now there's just a tiny little bit of melted metal. Now I'm going to begin assembling my circuit. So the first thing that I'm going to do is place a wire right here, and this is going to go to my battery. So you can see the wire right here, and I'm just going to flip the board over. The wire is currently in C20. I'm just going to flip the board over now and solder this wire. I'm going to begin by just taking a little bit of the wire on the tip, and then you want to touch the tip of the soldering iron and the wire together, as I just did. So now, flipping our board back over, you can see that our first wire is in place. Next, we are going to place our 330 ohm resistor, and you want to make sure that the resistor is right next to the wire. So I have my wire placed at C20 and the resistor placed at C21. And now I'm just going to put the other side of the resistor in. Okay, so now I have my resistor in, and the reason that you want the wire right next to the resistor is because you're trying to make a circuit. So you want the wire to ultimately be connected to the resistor. So now, flipping our board over, we want to solder in our resistor. So you can see this first resistor wire right here. And following the same technique, I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron and then touch the iron and the wire. And you can see, hopefully now, that there's a small dot right there. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side of the resistor. Just touch the wire in the soldering iron. And you don't need too much solder, just enough so it coats the bottom part of the board. And just a quick thing, I would recommend a board. This board, as you can see, has these little metal rings around each hole, and that just makes it easier for the solder to melt and adhere, and your board won't get overheated as easily. So now, as I said, we want to connect the resistor to the wire. So this right here is the resistor and this is the wire. So in order to do that, we want to connect the solder between these two holes. I'm pointing now to Y20 and Y21. So as per usual, just a little bit of solder on the tip. Melt that on. And as you can see, now they're joined. So what I did was I just stuck the wire in between these two and then melted some solder. Now we have the wire connected to the resistor. Turning our board over now, you can see that I have this wire and this resistor. Our next component is going to be an LED. And you can see over here that my resistor is ending at N21, so I'm just going to put my LED in right in front of that. These right here are my two LED wires. Solder on the tip. And you just want to get it onto this hole. And then touch, same thing for the next one. I find it easier to just flip the board over so you get a more clear shot. Just like that. Now you can see. And soldering can take a good amount of practice, so if it doesn't come out perfect or you end up connecting two things, don't worry about it. You can always just push some of the solder off and try again. Now we want to connect the resistor and the LED. That is these two right here. And if you're confused about which components you want to be connecting, you can always just flip your board over. And we're connecting these components with solder just to make sure that the power supplied from the battery can make it all the way to the LED and that our circuit is closed and connected. So same drill, just a little bit on the tip. And then touch the wire to the solder. And they should connect. So now turning over my circuit. Here we are. Right here I have my wire, the resistor, and the LED. And last, I'm going to put another wire to connect to the other side of the battery. Here we go. And same drill, so I'm just going to find my wire. And I like turning it around for more direct access to the spot that I'm soldering. Just touch the solder to the tip of your soldering iron. And then touch the tip and the wire. And now you want to connect your wire and the other side of the LED. A little bit on the tip. Just stick your wire right in between. And that's it. So now that we're done with our circuit, as you can see, I have a wire for the power source a resistor, an LED, and another wire completing the circuit. So now I'm just going to plug this into my battery. You can see my battery right over there. And there you go, you have a finished circuit. So that is the end of this video, and hopefully the video has given you an idea about how to use a soldering iron and solder to build a basic circuit. And as you keep practicing, it will definitely get easier. Unlike a breadboard, this circuit you can keep forever because the components are already attached to the board. And our next videos will be teaching you how to make a more complicated circuit board using a microcontroller, and that board will have 4 experiments. So I'll see you very soon with another video about that experiment. From each Nerdina to all Nerdinas, adios.